I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read. And it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc. And the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And they said stress was really bad for them, they were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's fucked. Good. Yes. Like, that's just how I am, right? But it's how you adopt, it's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So the question was, what's the problem for the average man today? What's the biggest problem? I think there's a whole host of problems. But what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel, the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems and he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars. They didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. Let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because, like I said, the universe is absolutely and utterly very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. So I think that the number one problem with the world today and the biggest problem that men face isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they've been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. They don't understand that bad things happen to everybody, and the most successful person you know had all those, probably maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So I don't pray for an easy life. I pray for a life of difficulty that allows me to become a better and better person. I pray to become more competent to handle problems. I pray to put myself in a position where if the mass media machine attempts its very best to destroy my life, I can laugh and smile from my villa in Dubai. This is who I pray to become. I don't pray that nobody hurts me. I pray to be able to fight. So it's just a different mentality.
Where did that mentality come from? I know your background story. I've listened to tons of your interviews. I know the big impact, especially your father, had on your life. Was there a single, or were there a handful of pivotal moments for you where your mindset just shifted? I know you've talked before about being young and seeing people driving by in flashy cars and it annoying you and not annoying the people around you, but I'm really curious to know where the Tate mindset came from.
It's a good question. I think a lot of people build their mindsets around trying to feel good. So that's why we were talking earlier about people who want to ignore the idea of personal responsibility or self-accountability because they feel better if they pretend it's not a real thing. They feel better if they pretend everything's someone else's fault. A lot of people's mental model and how they view the world is based around them feeling as good as possible. So when you sit there and talk to somebody who has the mask on and they refuse to believe the elites are laughing at them, it's not because they can't comprehend the ideas, it's because they feel better if they don't believe that they are a clown to the elites. I feel better if this is really all innocent and it's really all about a disease. So people are basing their mindsets around trying to feel good. I have always tried to base my mindset around absolute competence regardless of how I feel. And there are certainly disadvantages to that. There are times you're going to be a lot more pessimistic, or you're going to be a lot more stressed, or a lot more, pissed off about certain things than others. Yeah, that can be seen as a downside. But like I said, I use all of those things for unlimited motivation to propel my endless upward trajectory. But if you construct a mindset that allows you to be as competent as possible, as opposed to feel any different or feel better, then you're going to naturally come to the conclusions I've come to. You're as competent as possible if you believe you can affect absolutely everything about your life. You're as competent as possible if you believe absolutely everything that's happened to you, whether good or bad, is completely your fault. You're as competent as possible if you believe the bad things that happen to you are going to allow you to work harder and become even better. When bad things happen to me, the first thing out of my mouth is good. Good. Andrew, they took $10 million out of the bank because they canceled you. Good. Good. That's just my response. Good. Andrew, this happened. Good. Good. Now I'm really pissed. Good. This mindset I've constructed allows me to be as fearsome a competitor as possible. It allows me to be a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor, and that's the point of a mindset. Why would you have a mental model or a mentality that made you anything less? In the ultra competitive world that we've just discussing that everybody wants the things you have, why would you absorb information or construct a mental model that doesn't allow you to be as competitive as possible? I am a feared competitor in anything I do. Anyone who's up against me at anything is going to feel a degree of nervousness just because it's me. It doesn't matter what it is. If you say, look, you're going to go learn how to play piano and you're going to play against someone else who's never played piano and you're going to learn, and that guy's Andrew Tate, you're going to be like, oh, for fuck's sake. I can't even play piano. But part of them is going to be like, oh, not Tate. Even though I have no piano experience, because they just know me. They know my mindset. They know my determination. They know I'm stubborn. They know I don't quit. They know I'm going to win. That's just who I am. So I've constructed a mental model that allows me to be competent and to always succeed. And that's how I've come to the conclusions I've come to. And I truly, once again, don't understand how people go through the world with any other mental model. I get asked all the time, well, what do you feel? Or what about happiness or depression? That doesn't even, how I feel doesn't cross my mind. I don't know how else to explain it. There are days where I'm pissed off or sad or happy. It doesn't cross my mind. It's just like, I woke up, whatever mood I happen to be in, I have things I need to do. It's a busy day. Zuby's here soon. I need to go training before he gets here. I had a meeting with the bank at 7:15 a.m. I have shit to do. Like, I didn't cross my mind if I was happy, sad, excited. I just had to work. So I think my mental model, to a degree, I'm certainly not a person who doesn't feel emotions, because we're all human. I certainly do. But I've never prioritized them in any regard. I haven't built a mental model that affects, I haven't put them in the middle of my mental model and then affected my actions based on how I feel for each one. It's absolutely and completely the opposite. I would love to do a podcast on a day where I'm particularly sad and a podcast on a day where I'm particularly happy. And I guarantee you wouldn't be able to tell the fucking difference. So that's what allows me to be competitive, right? Because if you're competitive, if you want to be the most competitive predator on the planet, you have to be able to hunt in the day and the night. You have to be able to do both. You have to be able to perform when you're happy and sad. You can't only be able to perform when you're happy. You can't only go to the gym when you're motivated. You can't only be a competent person when your life's going well, because when your life's not going well, you're no longer competent. Then you're going to lose to people like me. And it's player versus player. If you're the kind of person who can only do well when you're happy and you're competing against someone like me who can do well all the fucking time, guess what? You lose. So my mental model, the answer is most of my opinions are just based around constructing a mental model that allows me to be brutally competitive. It's why I say depression isn't real. I've argued this point endlessly. And I try and explain to people, but they're not smart enough to understand that I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't care. I am more competitive as an individual if I don't believe I can become depressed. So I don't give a fuck if I'm right or wrong, because no matter what bad happens to me in my life, even if, heaven forbid, the worst things on earth that could happen to me, I could never become clinically depressed, because I would never self-diagnose myself as clinically depressed, because I don't believe in it. I believe that I am currently sad, but I have work to do, and eventually I will feel better. I will never get to a point of absolute desperation and kill myself, because I'm never going to get to a point of hopelessness, because I don't believe in the idea of hopelessness. You cannot try and make me adopt thinking that will reduce my competitiveness as an individual. So I don't give a fuck if I'm wrong. I don't believe in it. That's it. End of story. So I don't believe in things that take power away from me. I don't believe in things that make me less competitive, and I don't adopt mental models that make me less competitive. Every single mental model I have are the most efficient ones I could find. They're the mental model I found that if I adopt, I become a more fearsome predator. That's it. So this is how I've come to all of my conclusions as an individual. I don't know how I'd function in society. I think that life is very, very hard for a man. It was certainly very, very hard for me. I can't imagine having no mental resilience. I can't imagine being that fragile. I can't imagine being that offendable. I can't imagine believing there are systems which are going to oppress me and prevent me from ever becoming everything I want to be. I can't imagine being that way. If I were to try and absorb all those mentalities and then live a normal life, I don't think I can do it. There's a reason why these people end up on ADHD, anxiety, depression, and I get it, because it's just suicide. It's literally mental suicide.
There's a version of you that never sleeps in, never skips training, never wastes time. There's a version of you who never fails. It is waiting for you. Genuinely ask yourself a question, you at home. If you had done those things for the last 2 years, you never skipped a training, you never wasted time, you never scrolled TikTok, you never sat aimlessly on the internet typing in garbage, never played video games, you never wasted time. You never skipped training. You were training every single day. You never slept in. You were never lazy. There's this version of you. Imagine the person you would be. Genuinely imagine what you would look like. Imagine where you would live. Imagine the car you would drive. Imagine how much your woman would respect you. Imagine the love you would see in her eyes when she looks at you with adoration like a king. Imagine your existence. That person is waiting for you. And the only thing that's stopping you from being that person is your monumental laziness. You can have it. The universe is very giving. It will give you anything you work for. I've never seen somebody try for something with all of their might and not get it. The only people who do not have the things they want are the people who do not try for them. I've never seen a person wake up and say, my only dedication in life is to solve a Rubik's Cube and fail. You are not stupid. You are not incompetent. You are lazy and arrogant. It's extremely important you understand that that person is waiting for you and you are declining that version of yourself. In the multiverse, in the many different versions of the universe that exist, there is a version of you that does those exact things. And he is a greater person than you can even fathom. You can transform yourself into that guy. You can be a top G. That's exactly what I did. I knew who I was going to have to end up being before I became that person. My brother and I are not from rich families. We are not from advantaged beginnings, but I knew I had to be a big, strong, fighting billionaire. That's what I knew I had to be. Discipline is the key to success. If you cannot force yourself to do something you don't want to do, how are you ever going to put yourself through the suffering required for greatness? If you cannot force yourself to train when you do not want to train, if you cannot force yourself to work when you don't want to work, if you can't force yourself to not log into Pornhub or force yourself to eat right, how can you possibly ever become a monumentally successful person if you cannot control yourself long enough to do what must be done as opposed to what you feel like doing? The only people who get to live their lives based on how they feel are women and children. Children can cry because they feel like crying, as can a woman. A woman can start an argument because she feels like arguing, as can a child. A man must do what he is supposed to do irregardless of how he feels. That is the key component to masculinity, is discipline. If you do not have the discipline to dedicate yourself to anything, you are going to fail and be crushed by the people who can. If you only go to the gym when you feel like going to the gym, you're never going to be as strong as the people who go to the gym when they don't feel like going to the gym. That is a reality of life. So I train every single day. I've actually heard from some people saying, you overtrain. And I explained to them, one, I don't believe in rest. I'm not you. I'm not pussy and I'm not broke like you are, Mr. Fitness Trainer, standing around the gym teaching people for $50 an hour. I don't need to listen to you. Secondly, I don't train because I want to get bigger. I train every day because it is difficult to train every day. It hurts. I don't want to. I wake up and I'm busy. I have other things to do. I don't feel like doing it. So I force myself to do it 7 days a week, 365 days a year, so that I know I'm the kind of person who can do what he doesn't want to do when it needs to be done. I am that man. And it is more of a mental exercise than a physical exercise at this point. How can you ever outcompete me if I can force myself to do the things I don't want to do and you cannot? Discipline is absolutely essential for success. And you need to get very comfortable and very used to the idea of understanding that on your path to greatness, there are going to be long periods of time where you hate what you are doing, where you are dissatisfied with the actions you must undertake, where you are tired, where you are stressed. That is why it is difficult. That is why most people won't make it. If the path was easy, everybody would walk it and it would lead nowhere. 100 people start the path. 99 fall off because it is difficult. And the one person who makes it to the end gets the gold. If all 100 made it to the end and the gold was divided by 100, it wouldn't even be worth anything. The difficulty gives it value. The fact that it is difficult to do is the key component into the fact you want it in the first place. If it wasn't difficult, everyone would have it and you wouldn't want it because no one would respect it. It's supposed to be hard. Life is supposed to be hard. You're supposed to think this is terrible. You're supposed to suffer and smile through the pain regardless. Discipline is the key to success in all realms as a man. And if you lack it, you stand no chance. You can give most people a roadmap to success. You can give them a Ferrari with a full tank of gas, and a lot of people still wouldn't make the destination because they would say the drive is too far away. Quitters, they don't have the discipline. You can tell them exactly how to do it. You can give them the mechanism to get there, but they don't have the discipline to complete the drive and end up at the destination. That is the majority of Earth. This is your competition. People who, even if they are told what to do and people tell them exactly how to do it and help them do it, still quit, still fail because they lack discipline. Even me, with my monumental powers, I can't make a quitter successful. It doesn't matter how good I am. It doesn't matter how easily I make it for them to succeed. It doesn't matter how compendious and concise and powerful the real world is. It doesn't matter how much I text them and motivate them, how many emergency meetings I do to try and talk to them and hype them up, how much motivation I give them. It doesn't matter what I do. If they are a quitter, guess what they're going to do? They're going to quit. No matter how simple the map is to read, no matter how fast a Ferrari is, somewhere along the drive, the sun's going to get in their eyes. Meh, meh, and they're going to sit there and go, I don't like this. This is hard. And they're going to quit. Quitters are the number one type of people that nobody can help. If you're a quitter, I can't help you. Life can't help you. God himself cannot help a quitter. So if you lack discipline, you lack the very basic building block to any type of success which exists on the planet. By every single metric which can be measured with science, you are going to stay a loser and a failure. The key is to keep training. If you train hard every single day, you don't have to worry about a little bit of vitamin C.
It's true.
If you don't train and you don't smoke, you're still going to be a pussy.
Yes.
The answer is always hard work. As soon as you are granted life, you are guaranteed death. What you do in between is up to you. You are all conscious. That could end tomorrow. That could end in 100 years. But the time between the beginning of your consciousness and the end of it is completely up to you. Training is never the wrong decision. If you're in jail, you should train. If you are free, you should train. If you are rich, you should train. If you are poor, you should train. If you smoke, you should train. If you don't smoke, you should train. If you drink, you should train. If you don't drink, you should train. You cannot escape that hard work is always the correct decision. There is no time in any scenario when working hard is going to be the wrong answer. You should always try your very best in all things. I will smoke 10 cigars a day and beat the shit out of you because I train harder than you can possibly fathom. Pain is an extremely important part of the equation. Pain is the elixir of success. When people say this bad thing happened to me and I'm suffering, I say good. It is pain which is required. It's one of the elements in the chemical reaction. If the chemical reaction requires 5 particular distinct compounds and you have 4 and you're missing 1, it simply doesn't work. Pain for a man is one of the most important elements in becoming successful. Batman is Batman because they killed his parents. If they did not kill his parents, he would not be Batman. You're supposed to suffer. You're supposed to take that pain. The worst thing that can happen to you as a man is you live a life with no pain in it. To be born into a rich family and have a nice, easy life and be given money and you don't have to go to the gym and not have to train because you have bodyguards and sit around like a fuck up. You're going to be miserable and unhappy and a drug addict buying prostitutes. You're only going to have women who adore you. You're only going to feel confident in yourself and feel happy when you've been through hell and come out the other side. The pain is required. And you'll often notice that people who are better than you are people who have suffered more than you have suffered. So the person who is waiting for you, he requires your motivation, also requires huge amounts of pain. So when bad things happen to you, do not sit at home and lament. Do not feel sorry for yourself. Instead, look in the mirror and say, thank you, God, for giving me one of the ingredients that is needed for the chemical concoction that is going to turn me into a superhero. Because pain is an extremely important one. In fact, it's one of the most important ones for a man. Everything is war. All of it. Sitting in the commute without losing your patience is war. Trying to find a way to escape your slave job is war. Keeping your wife happy and your children inspired is war. Training to become stronger than before is war. It is all war, and it cannot be avoided. And I'll tell you why it's war, because war is 2 opposing sides trying to achieve the same goal. 2 opposing sides want the same land or the same influence over X land. And the car you want, the Ferrari, you're not the only person who wants it. The reason it's so expensive is because others people want it. The girl you want, the beautiful woman, everyone wants her. It is war. It is competition. Everything about life as a man is war. It is conflict because you are competing against the other men who want it the same, which is why discipline is such an important thing, which is why you must take the pain and add it to the concoction to become as formidable as possible. Life is war. This idea that you can go through life as a man and avoid war is probably the biggest mistake that most men make, because it is impossible for you to achieve anything significant without war. Running a business is war. Running a hotel, running a restaurant, running an online company, it's war. Training is war. Life as a man is war. You need to wake up and view it exactly as what it is. Everything I want, other people want. Everything I desire, other men are trying to get. This is a war and I must outcompete them. That is the best possible mental model you can have. Even in jail, it was a war for who could stay most calm, a war who could control their mind the best, a war for who could suffer the least. That is war. I was surrounded by people who lost their minds and I refused. It was a battle and I was successful. Life in and of itself as a man is a never-ending struggle and a never-ending battle. It is the constant of the human condition. Evolution requires pain. While others complain that they do not feel happy enough, I'm happy I'm struggling. I don't want to be happy. I want to be great. This is the beauty of life as a man. Do you understand? I don't care. I'm happy to be struggling. I wanted to fight. You wanted to win. I wanted to fight. That's the difference. You're concerned with winning. I wanted to just fight. And we're fighting. That is the beauty of life as a man, to be great. If you concern yourself only with being happy, you are once again acting like a female or a child. Happiness is fleeting. It doesn't even matter if you're concerned only with the hedonism of happiness. You're going to drink alcohol and go to parties and go to festivals and take drugs. I want to be happy. Who cares? I want to be great. I want to be great all of the time. And let me ask you a question as a man at home, genuinely, truthfully. Would you rather be a loser who's always smiling, a happy loser, or would you rather be a stressed winner? Because I'll tell you something about winners. Most of them are stressed.
We are stressed.
We're stressed. Putin is stressed. Genghis Khan was stressed when his messenger turned up after a 4-week ride with updates from the battlefront of Iran. I'm sure he was stressed by what he read. Even if it was very good, even if it all looked fantastic, he started to feel stressed. Okay, well, now maybe I need to go to Iran. How long is it going to take me to get there? Maybe we need to send more horses. Maybe we need to colonize Iran. He felt stress because the beauty of life as a man is to be great. So you have to sit here and ask yourself, do you want to be a happy loser that's insignificant? Nobody knows you exist. Women don't respect you. Men don't respect you. Nobody cares if you live or die, but you get to smile all the time. Or do you want to be one of the most important people on the planet with a little bit of stress? I am brilliant because I've decided to be brilliant. And if I have to sacrifice happiness to be brilliant, then that's fine. You know what the great thing about it is? You know, it's amazing what God gives, how the whole world becomes full circle. If you stop caring about being happy and you start caring instead about being great, guess what you end up being?
Great.
Along with great.
And you know what? Yeah.
Happy. You end up happy if you forget about happiness and try to become great. You will never be successful if you're concerned about being happy. So forget about it. I like to consider myself a wise old man, and I'm trying my best to encourage and instigate a revolution amongst the youth where men take absolute self-accountability and they believe in themselves and they take responsibility for absolutely everything. As a man, you are most formidable if everything is your fault. If it rains outside and you get wet, that is still your fault. Can you control the rain? No. Could you have brought an umbrella? Yes. You need to blame yourself for all things, the good and the bad. And by doing this, you take absolute self-accountability, which allows you to build a mental model in which you will find solutions. 1, 2, avoid trouble, because you know that anything bad happens to you is your fault. And 3, be the most fearsome competitor possible, because we're living in a very competitive world nowadays amongst the elites. The people who understand that you're living inside of a fish tank are trying very hard to get out. And you have to make sure that you can outrun some of them if you want to escape. It's an age-old adage. If a bear is chasing a group of people, you do not have to be the fastest one. You just have to be faster than the slowest. The slowest person is going to die. So as long as you're ahead of the majority of people, you stand a very good chance of avoiding slavery. Being a powerful man isn't always about furious anger and instilling fear. As enemies attempt to attack your energy and lower your vibration, understand this. Power is untouchable. Power may notice, but it doesn't care. Sometimes power is simply not giving a fuck. Being a powerful man isn't always about furious anger and instilling fear, meaning sometimes it is. You need to retain the capability to instill fear with furious anger. A man who cannot do that is not a man. It is one of the cards you need to have in your deck. However, more often than not, when you're in a true position of power, you will play the alternate card, which I'm describing here, as simply not caring. How can you not give a fuck about things? So I'll tell you how. If you're filthy rich and you have a strong network of people around you who you trust, and you have a good family, and you have beautiful children, and you have women who love you, and you have beautiful supercars, you live with your best friends in a compound, you have armed guards, and you're proud of yourself, and you're strong, and you train hard every day, and you're monumentally successful, and all of your dreams come true. And if you want something, you can instantly snap it up. You want a Pagani, you want a Bugatti, you want a $25 million apartment, anything you want, you buy. It's very easy to not give a shit about the opinions of people who don't have one fraction of your success. And what these people are trying to do is drag me. I'm using me as an example, but we can also use it for you. When you have true power, they're trying to drag you down. They're not trying to elevate themselves. They're trying to drag you down, which is a very different thing, because it's amazing how God rewards those who are trying to build and create and elevate, and how it punishes those who are simply trying to destroy and be spiteful and negative. And these people are going to dedicate hours and hours and millions of hours of their life towards a certain cause.
Thank you.
To try and drag people down who they cannot affect because they're already too powerful and too large. And they're wasting their own human experience, and they're not progressing or advancing themselves in any way. They will stay brokies, and we will stay rich forever. So the lesson here is that you need to get to a position where ignoring people is a move in which you're guaranteed success. You can ignore people completely and they are benefiting you. And that comes from a position of power. And I think a lot of you at home right now, you may not be in our position, but if you're already working hard, you're already going to the gym, you're already training, you make sure that you're getting as much muscles as possible, as much money as possible. You're dedicated. You don't sleep in. You don't waste your time. You don't smoke weed. You don't play video games. You're focused on trying to become fantastic as a person. You can just ignore that girl. That girl who broke your heart or cheated on you, just ignore her. The most powerful move you can make is ignore her. Yeah, you could yell at her. Yeah, you could try and make her scared of you, blah, blah, right? That's not going to work. The powerful move is just to completely ignore her because you're on your ascent. She is likely on her descent. She likely has no intention of improving herself, no intention of becoming richer, no intention of becoming better looking. Time is against her. As she gets older, she's going to lose her looks. You're going to continue your ascent, and she's going to have to watch you for the rest of her life be the man that she could have been with that she's no longer good enough for. The best thing you can do is simply ignore her. That is the powerful move. And it's the same with also men. It's not even a gendered argument. There's men who want to be your friends right now or who wanted to be your friend, and they did something wrong to you. And if you're on the right path doing the right things, karma, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to teach them a lesson for simply failing to be a good person to you while they had the chance. But when you have a whole bunch of money, you take care of the people you love. And that's the masculine prerogative. And even my brother and I, anyone who's been loyal to us, who's on our team, we monumentally reward. And everyone who ever displayed cowardice or sold us out or made mistakes massively regrets it because they see how well we treat the people who are close to us. If you lack somewhere, excel somewhere else. Counter your weaknesses by honing other capabilities. If you're ugly, become filthy rich. If you're poor, be as strong as an ox. Life is unfair. The primary focus of your energies is to balance the books.
And there's two different ways you could interpret that. You can, obviously, increase the attributes that you are lacking. If you have the ability to train, because a lot of people don't. Some people are born without arms and legs, but you with 2 arms and 2 legs are sitting at home jerking off the Pornhub, flabby and fat. If you have the ability to train, you should be doing it. But also, there are some things that some people are just better at, and you can counteract that problem by teaming up with people who compensate for your weaknesses. People who are strong in areas where you are weak, and you team up with people where you are strong in areas where they are weak. I don't think between the people in this house and our group of friends, we lack anything.
Correct.
Anything. Correct. Literally anything. We can sit as a group and have a conversation about anything with anyone in the world and give useful insight and change people's lives for the better, because although I am not perfect, our team compensates one for each other.
And that's the point of brotherhood. So excel in one area if you lack in others. I have people say to me, Andrew, I'm short. What do I do? I'm short. Okay, God made you short. Fine. Good. Doesn't matter. You can't change it. What you can do is become as strong as an ox and become filthy rich and monumentally important and extremely influential. You can do that. People say, I'm poor. You should be strong. Oh, I'm strong, but I don't have any money. Okay, then teach others to be strong.
Yes.
There's always a way you can take your advantages and use them. And by teaming up with other men, other people, you can build a team in which there are no weaknesses. So if you have a disadvantage, you also have somewhere God has given you a distinct advantage over others. And it is your duty to excel in that realm. It is your duty to become so monumentally influential and powerful within that specific criteria in which you have the capability to be brilliant, that your weaknesses no longer appear because they can be simply overshadowed by your network or overshadowed by your absolute competence. By constructing the correct mindset, you can be in the exact same scenario you're currently in, living the exact same life with a different mental model in which you view the world, and you will not only feel more powerful, you will be more powerful. You'll achieve more amazing things. You will be greater. You will be happier with the same car, the same woman, the same house, the same income, the same everything. But your mind changes the lens in which you view the world. Lenses change things. Rose tinted glasses, perhaps dark glasses. You can put glasses on, change the lens, and you can view the world differently by changing how your mind is constructed and put together and the way you view the world. That is the point of mental Aikido.
The whole field, the whole industry, the whole way we view depression, the way we view happiness, the way we view sadness is all garbage from head to toe. I think it's all bullshit. We can throw the whole thing out the window. And I start, again, when people come to me and say about happiness, and I say, who the fuck said you should be happy in the first place? Who even said you should be? I don't care if you're sad. I never told you you should be happy. How many push-ups can you do? Not enough. Get to fucking work. So this is my whole view on the whole field.
I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. Happiness to me is a super interesting concept because when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? They're like, what do you mean? It's like, who told you should be happy all the time without working for it? Happiness is at the top of a mountain somewhere. You ain't been anywhere. You haven't even climbed it.
Happiness is the number one thing that must be earned. And I'll tell you that my happiness is based on very real world achievements. I couldn't be happy if I was broke. I couldn't be happy if I was obese. I couldn't be happy if I was lonely. I couldn't be happy if I wasn't respected. I couldn't be happy if I couldn't whoop a dude's ass. I couldn't be happy in those scenarios. So I made sure none of them scenarios came true. I have earned my happiness via hard work. It's the top of a mountain, which I have climbed. I deserve it. I deserve to go to sleep with a smile on my fucking face and wake up between two bitches. That's what I fucking deserve. And every single guy who hasn't got it probably doesn't deserve it. The universe is very giving and very fair. People seem to think that the world is unfair, and those are all the same people who tell themselves they're unlucky. I actually believe the opposite. I believe the universe is a very giving place. I believe God is a very giving being, and that the world, all in all, generally balances out and is pretty fair. If you're the kind of person who deserves a good life and works their ass off and genuinely wants it and tries very hard, guess what you get 99% of the time? A good life. And if you're the kind of person who doesn't really deserve it, slacks 3 days a week, a little bit lazy, snakes his friends, talks behind people back, blah, 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 guess what? Your life ain't all that good. The universe is pretty fair and pretty balanced. I've yet to meet somebody who gets up every day, does what they're supposed to do, works hard, goes to the gym, then goes to work, does their best, makes their money, looks after it, is sensible, doesn't blow it, et cetera, who then fails. I've never met anybody who fails when they do all the right things. The universe is a very fair and giving place, all in all. There are very few exceptions to that. So when I see somebody who doesn't have the success they want, especially when I see, let's say, a group of people who don't have the success they want, there's no way you're all exceptions to that rule. You may want something, but you certainly don't deserve it. And that's why you don't have it.
You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. As a man, you have a burden of performance. As a man, you shouldn't be waking up going, how do I get happy? As a man, you wake up and say, okay, how do I perform? You know, and happiness will come at the end of the performance anyway. But if your number one goal as a man, if your number one mission in life is just to be happy, it could be an extremely vaporous existence, and you're not going to be a man of substance. The men of substance out there are not necessarily happy people. Mike Tyson wasn't happy when he was smashing people's faces in. That's not how you get there. You don't get there being happy. If you're unhappy with your life and you're depressed, I don't expect you to be popping pills and sitting and laying in bed. I expect you to give me a huge list of everything you're achieving per day. Depression's a fantastic motivation, but people are told the opposite. No, you feel depressed. That's wrong. You should be happy anyway. Take the pills, stay home, take some time off. Complete garbage. You're depressed. Okay, get up, go for a run, lift more weights, make more money, get a second job, get more girls. Like you can outrun depression. The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. If I feel sad, it does not change how I act, and it does not change the things I do. If I don't feel like going to the gym, I go to the gym. If I don't feel like working, I will still work. A lot of these people come to me and they say, oh, but I feel this way. I don't put a huge amount of importance on emotions. It's not that I don't feel them. It's that I don't think they have much to do with anything at all. If I wake up in a happy mood and I have a business to run and females to cater for and things to do, if I wake up in a sad mood, I have the same shit to do. I'm going to get it done. This modern obsession with happiness is the number one problem with the world. Because I really don't believe humans were ever evolved to be happy. Mm-hmm. Were we? Tell me, you're the expert, bro. Where did it come in our timeline that we were supposed to be happy all the time? Who gives a fuck how you feel? Like, your emotion has nothing to do with the harsh reality of this world. You're either successful or you're not. Life is binary. You either win or you lose. You survive or you don't. Happy or sad, the push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women, street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy. So when people come to me and say, I'm not happy, I say, why should you be happy? And we're all adults here. This infantile mindset that we're all supposed to be like we were when we were 3 years old and, oh, something shiny, laugh all the time, run around in circles, ooh, a cardboard box. We're grown-ups and we have responsibilities and we have problems and we have pressure. And you don't necessarily have to be happy to perform, especially if you're a man. I say this all the time. You should never adopt the thinking of someone who is sad. And most people who are out here giving their life advice, if you sit there and go, are you happy? Well, yeah, I'm pretty happy. You're on antidepressants, or you were depressed last year, or you're talking about, like, most of these people giving advice out, you wouldn't even want to be them. So why would you listen to them? I'm not going to listen to anybody unless they're happier than me. Otherwise, I'm never going to listen, So yeah, it's being rooted out by the mainstream because they want all of us as slaves. They want us as slaves. The people who are in charge of the world need people to clean their cars and build their boats. Slaves. That's all it is.
The brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. But once you figure out your brain, you become unstoppable to almost anything. Your brain is amazing. Once you feed it the right conversation, the right mental nutrients, the right mental supplements, the right internal dialogue at the right time with the right hit, with the right proof of what you've done in the past, and you send that right to the right circuit, dude, you're a fucking beast. You put so much practice into you that you can ignore every one of them that are telling you you're not going to fucking make it and still be able to fucking make it because you have put the practice in that this is the process. It's such a daunting task that all the voices are saying no, but you still have the conviction that I know I can do this. When you put that practice in every day, you lace them up. And I don't mean run. It's just a metaphor for life. When you lace them motherfuckers up every day, pretty soon you win. If you have the courage and the heart and the dedication and the mindset about everybody can go fuck themselves, pretty soon you'll fucking win. There's no balance. It's a little bit more what it should be. for a lot of people, but there'll never be balance because confidence and belief, you're building every day. But it's what we've trained ourselves to believe that we need.
I think a man should have absolutely no interest in whether he's actually happy or not. If I wake up and I'm unhappy, I will do the exact same things as if I am happy. I will go to the gym the same. I will work the same. How I feel has no impact on how I live my life. I don't think happiness as an index is a healthy view for a man to have on life success. As soon as you stop pushing forward, as soon as you go stagnant, you're dying. Depression is not real. Feeling depressed is real. When you're depressed, you can fail in every human metric. I fail at everything, but I'm depressed. It's not my fault. No, you're a failure. That's all you are, because you're not trying very hard. No matter what the worst thing that could possibly happen to me on earth, I will feel sad, but I will recover and I will not become depressed because I don't believe in depression. As you lose, there's no light without dark, right? There's no joy without pain. Of course. For me to be a winner, there needs to be losers.
You learn to pick yourself up on your own. A lot of times these fights and these battles, you got to be your own fucking coach. You got to be your own motivator. It was the only way for me to move forward.
A lot of quitting is just your mind saying, man, we can't do this. Man, we should find a way out. Man, fuck this. This is just too uncomfortable. Whereas if you can just force yourself to push those aside and don't entertain those thoughts at all, you can get through a lot of things you can't get through. You got to fuel yourself with the fuck ups. And most people get stuck in these patterns because they define themselves as a fuck up. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Write down what you would like to fix about your life. And then just, if you're 30 pounds overweight, you want to lose 30 pounds, do it the right way. Go start eating vegetables, monitor your calories, write down what you eat, exercise every day, force yourself to do it. Say you're the general. The brain is the general, the troops are the body. The troops don't want to listen, but you go, fuck you, you listen. And you get up and you do it.
They're no fun. All the time you're complaining, you could be instead hustling. You could be instead chasing your dream. You could be instead figuring out what you're doing wrong, trying to improve certain aspects of your life, getting your shit together, reading a book, meditating, something.
But what is necessary is you have to build a person that can withstand the pressures of whatever they're going to be dealing with in life. But be tough. You better have a part about you that's tough, a part about you that can break down situations very quickly within some trauma in your life, some devastation in your life, because it's going to come, and move forward. That takes a lot of toughness.
Hard times create hard men. Hard men create soft times. Soft times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. We are now around soft men and hard times. You can't be weak. You should be a monster. You should be ruthlessly ambitious and then learn how to control it. And it's that old expression. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Because it doesn't mean that you can't be kind if you're strong, but it does mean you can't be strong if you're weak.
So many men say, I want to be the man, but they don't want to suffer. They don't want to fight. And I don't understand why, because even if you look at a superhero movie, they tell you, even in superhero movies, they make it very clear. Batman's parents died. That's why he's Batman. All the bad things have to happen. There's no way to get there without the bad things. Of course she broke your heart. Of course you're sad. Of course you miss her. She's with me now. That's life. And you decipher it and you work out the best way to deal with it. And you internalize the good parts and you become a better and stronger and more resilient person for it. That's part of it. That's the only way you're going to get to that level of resilience. You can't become the man any other way.
As a man, trauma and difficulty is extremely important because it's the building blocks for mental fortitude and physical fortitude. So I'm very, very happy that my life has been difficult because it's impossible to become a capable man or a man of my capability without struggling with facing serious adversities, without trying to overcome often insurmountable odds.
So how I do every day is how I do every day. It's a discipline. It's a regimen. It's a choice I made. And the choice I made was, what are you willing to sacrifice? And what are you willing to give up to find every bit of who you are as a human being? And I was willing to give up everything to do that. And so nothing is easy. Like running is running. It sucks, but you have a choice to make. Do you want to sit down and go back to that guy you once were? No. So this is what it takes. It takes that misunderstanding of people, and they'll never get it because they were never David Goggins. And this is every day of my fucking life. That's why when I train a fighter or I train someone, I'm like, you have no fucking idea how great you really are, because you are using such minimal of what you have. And if people can learn to focus, to extract, greatness from nothing. It takes every bit of who you are if you choose that route. If you don't, Merry Christmas. Do what you got to do. There's no fucking passion. There's no fucking motivation. There's no, oh my God, man, it's every day of your life just doing. No passion. Where's passion when you're 300 pounds? Where's the motivation when you can't read and write? Where is it? So how did this happen? I just fucking did. I just did. I said, maybe at the end of this journey, there'll be something there for me. If not, I can read. If not, I'm 185 fucking pounds. There's no magic potion. There's no, oh, let me wake up and look at some shit. No, it's all bullshit. Just do. You're living. How do you want to live? How do you want to die? How do you want to fucking be remembered? That's it. Period. This is why I say stay hard, because when you weren't given the gifts, the only thing you can do in life is stay hard. This is all you can do. There's no magic pill or a magic potion. All you can do is outwork.
Because everybody has bad breaks.
Yeah.
I've had a shit ton of bad breaks. But you know what I did? I stayed up.
Yeah.
And I thought through it. And I figured out what the fuck I did wrong. And then I went back. It's like I fucked up everything I've ever done 100 times. There's no other way to do it. And I've had a bunch of shitty breaks. Everybody has. But you got to realize when you have those shitty breaks what that is. It's an opportunity for you to reassess, reboot, get better, figure out another way, find another way through. It's just little challenges. And that's how you do it. You go and get after it. You don't make any excuses. You got to stop with all this I can't catch a break bullshit. All the time you're complaining, you could be instead hustling. You could be instead chasing your dream. You could be instead figuring out what you're doing wrong, trying to improve certain aspects of your life, getting your shit together, reading a book, meditating, something. Fucking something.
That's something that you have to develop. You develop that over years, decades of suffering and going back into the suffer. But how I grew a will was constantly doing these things. To now, it's just life. I wake up while it still sucks. It's just life. You don't sit back and like, oh my God, like I have days I don't want to do it, but I know I'm going to do it. Through examining myself, getting some willpower, some courage, it became bigger than this table. But that's what we all do. That's why I wanted to come here today and talk to you about real shit. Not no fucking like hacks. There's no hacks, bro. It's you against you. You against you.
If you're alive, you can get better. Yeah, no matter what. If you're alive, you can shift things. Doing things that are difficult is as much of a nourishment of the mind as food is a nourishment of the body. I think you need things that puzzling to you, where you have to find your own human potential in the difficulty of the task and work your way through things. Give yourself an arduous, difficult task where you're challenged mentally and challenged physically. One of the great things about being challenged physically is it's also mental. The people that don't understand that have never really been challenged physically. People that think that physical challenges are just physical. It's just brute grunt work. It's not. It's emotional intelligence. It's understanding your desire to quit and conquering your inner bitch. All that stuff is mental. And there's a mental strength that you acquire from that you can apply to intellectual pursuits.
You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. The thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up. He gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. People often ask me, especially when I put up a picture on Instagram, how I'm in such good shape. Say, how are you in such good shape when all you do is travel the world and drink alcohol and smoke cigars? You barely go to the gym. And I say that I train in my sleep, and they call me crazy. Because I can lucidly dream, because I can control my dreams, which is another podcast in and of itself. I train in my dreams. I convince my mind that I've trained. I convince my mind that I need to be ready for war, and my body reacts accordingly. It is the ideas that are real. What do they say in the Matrix? The body cannot exist without the mind. It's the ideas that are real. An idea in and of itself is real enough. If you remember a dream the same way you remember a real event, they are basically the same. My body proves that because I do most of my training as I sleep. So lucid dreaming is basically, I don't know if anyone's here has had a dream that you realize is a dream and then you can control it. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
So you're in a dream and then you go, for me personally, I'll be in a dream and something will happen and I go, that doesn't make sense. Oh, wait, I'm dreaming. And then I can fly and shit. Now, usually I can only do it for like a minute or two in dream time. You know, time is a bit different in dreams until the dream ends. And I usually wake up where the dream ends. So it's kind of annoying because sometimes I'll be in a dream and I'll realize it's a dream and I'll start doing some shit. And then I'll also consciously know that I'm running out of time before the dream ends. It's weird. So that's how I dream. So the way I do that, and when I say that I use my dreams to calculate things, is because if you're ever heartbroken or upset or you're really worried or stressed, you might dream about the problem. So I do that consciously. If I have a problem in my life or something I have to worry about or be concerned about, I'll try and make sure I dream about it. And then in the dream, I know I'm in a dream. And it's basically dedicating time of my life, dedicating the time I was sleeping to solving a problem or dealing with a problem. How many amazing songs have been written in a dream? Or how many scientific, discoveries were from dreams? Look up discoveries from dreams. The number of scientists who woke up and go, bang, it came to me in my sleep, it came to me in my dream, because you're obsessed with a problem and your mind works it out at rest. So the key to lucid dreaming is this. You have to try and remember your last thought before you fall asleep. And I know that sounds easy, but think about last night when you went to sleep. Your eyes were closed. You were thinking of this, then you were thinking of this, then you were thinking of this, and then you were half awake because you kind of heard a noise and you felt the covers on you, but you weren't asleep, but you weren't awake. But what were you thinking of? Kind of nothing. You have to remember the exact last thought you had before you went to sleep. And it's harder to do than you think, because when you start doing that, you start turning your brain on to focus and then you can't sleep. So you have to do it like Zen. You have to just Zen go, I'm going to sleep, but I'm going to keep track. Right now I'm thinking of this dumb shit. Okay, now I'm thinking of that dumb shit. And sequentially in order, remember all the things you're thinking about until you remember the last thing you thought about before you went to sleep. When I started learning how to do that, there on out, about 70% of the times I would dream, it would be lucid. And I genuinely, even to this day, I'll be in a dream doing whatever. And I'll lift up a cat and go, that has no weight. This is a dream. Okay, this is a dream. So I'll just float through this wall quickly. Where's Tristan? Or me go on the computer, and I'll just control it for like 2 minutes. It's weird, but it happens by remembering what you're thinking about before you fall asleep. And if you actually genuinely think about that task and think about now when you go to sleep, you'll be trying to do it and you'll realize I'm thinking a bunch of bullshit, or I'm thinking of a memory, or I'm half remembering something, that your mind kind of falls apart a little bit as you fall asleep. If you can keep track of it, you can control your dreams. And for me, if I ever have a genuine real issue, I can literally say I'll deal with it. I'll think about that later when I'm sleeping. I know it sounds stupid, but it's true. I would accredit it to my success when I was kickboxing. I believe that if my brain synapse is firing, it must have, for X action, it must have a positive reflection on that action. If my X synapse, if the synapse in my brain is firing to slip a jab in a particular way, and my brain is firing, even if my body isn't moving, but my brain is firing to slip that jab, I believe that on a long enough time scale of my brain imagining me doing something repeatedly over and over and over again, I'm going to be better at doing that action, even if my body doesn't reflect. So when I say I train in my dreams, that's exactly what I mean. I would train, I imagine slipping punches in my dreams and how I would do it. And although my body wasn't doing the thing because I was asleep, but my synapses were firing the same. And I believe that had a positive impact and a positive effect. That can't be proved, but I believe it. And if I believe it, that also gives it power.
There's so much work for you to do as a man. I don't know how people I barely sleep, and I never not work, and I never lay in. I'm never lazy. And I don't understand how people don't work all of the time. And when I say that, people say, but work on what? I don't know what to work on. Bro, you need 10 passports. You need 25 bank accounts. You need shell companies. You need a trust fund. You need to make some money. You then need to move that money away. You need multiple places to live. You need a place for your children to live. They need a trust fund. You have stuff to do. Yep. And the people are just sitting around doing nothing. It's mind boggling to me. And there are some people who you just can't help. There is a huge percentage of the populace which they're beyond saving because they're the worst thing you can possibly be, which is a quitter. Being a quitter is the worst thing you can possibly be. God himself can't make a quitter important, because the only reason the place you're trying to get to has value is because it was difficult to reach. If everybody could reach it, there'd be no value. Value is linked to scarcity. The whole point gold is valuable is because it's not everywhere. If it was everywhere, it wouldn't have any value. The reason the place you're trying to reach is valuable is because people can't get there. So if you're the kind of person who quits, you're never going to get there. Quitters are the worst. You could give a quitter a map, a treasure map, and a hot air balloon.
and say, it's going to take you right to the treasure. It's going to be a 7-day journey. Here's a sandwich. And halfway through, they'll be like, oh, I'm cold.
Yeah. You just said that, oh, 7 days now.
Yeah. And they'll quit.
Yeah.
Quitters will never make it. And there's a huge subsect of the populace who are basically simply quitters. I've never in my life seen anyone who's determined to get something not get it. I've never seen somebody who is determined in their heart to get something not get it. The universe and God is so giving and providing. People think it's difficult out here. I disagree. I've never seen someone wake up and say, nah, this is all I care about. This is all I want. Not get it. Everyone who thought that way in fighting was a world champion. Everyone who thought that way about money was rich. I've never seen anyone fail. Bro, I've seen people with no credit score and no job determined to get an R8 manage to get one on finance somehow. I've seen it. If it's all you want, you're going to get it.
You're going to find a way to
You're going to find a way.
Yeah.
People go, oh, I want this. If you wanted it, you'd have it.
Literally, I spoke to a man who had done a podcast recently, and he was saying if someone had a gun to your children's head and said to you, the only way I'm going to move this gun is by you making $1 million, you are going to make $1 million.
100%.
Yeah.
You're going to be motivated for the first time in your life. People often say, if you try your best, it's okay to fail. But what they don't understand, the true secret to the universe is that if you try your best, you never fail.
Yeah.
I can't stop myself working as a person who doesn't need money. And then there's people with no money who don't work. It blows my mind, which is why the winners are winners and the losers are losers. Losers do a little bit of work and rest. Winners work as hard as possible and worry they're not working hard enough. It's just a separation of personality types. And it's almost like you can't save these people. I have something I sent in my email recently. I said, you could give the average man a brand new Ferrari and a roadmap and a coffee and a full tank of gas and tell him the destination, success. And halfway along the drive, he'll quit because it's too far. No matter how well you set it up for people, they'll quit. Then they say, this is what's another thing that's amazing to me about motivation. I don't feel motivated. Newsflash, neither do I sometimes. You're not going to always feel like doing it. You have to do it anyway because it's your duty to do it because you don't want to be a loser. That's the whole point. If you felt like doing it all the time, then there would be no magic to it. The magic is that you do it regardless of how you feel.
How do you stay motivated when
I haven't missed a day of work in 10 years. I've never had a day off. Maybe I've had days where I've gone driving the supercars and I've only done 2 hours work instead of 8 hours. I've never had a day where I thought, okay, I'm not going to work. Never once ever. My screen time on my phone is 9 hours a day, every day. I do not miss a day of work ever. If I'm the most viral Googled man on the earth, it does not change a fucking thing. I am working. Earth must be conquered. The matrix must be attacked and shattered. I do not stop. I will not quit. I will not surrender. I am not that person. I have zero interest in rest or respite. It's bullshit for cowards. Even the idea of resting aggravates my mind. So what I'm supposed to do this? Wait, let me practice.
Sure.
Yeah, that sucks.
No, but is there...
Sucks.
Bro, I got shit to do. Like, I can't even contemplate the idea. People say to me, if I had your money, Tate, I'd just go chill. That's why you'll never have my money, dummy.
Well,
because you just want to go do nothing. I don't want to do nothing. I want to do shit.
A lot of teens or young people or even adults, they're suffering from a lot of mental health issues.
Okay.
And what's your advice to them?
The world is hyper competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. Yeah. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have an ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. This is what being a man is about. The baseline of masculinity is doing things you don't feel like doing. I can't comment on being a woman because I'm not one, but the baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man a man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up. He gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only.
What started that fire inside early on, or did it kind of just develop through time and get hotter and hotter?
Well, I think everybody has a fire inside of them, but it's pacified. It's deliberately extinguished by society because one, the matrix wants you docile, which is the first thing. And second thing is people live lives of comfort. A lot of people, I think all men are born with a masculine desire to conquer Earth. And I think you're only going to be happy if you're conquering. But if you're living a semi-comfortable life and your mother is nice to you and you're not under any pressure and the matrix is telling you it's fine to just be average, well, then you're going to be sitting there being average. I was never comforted. I was never given an easy life. I never had anyone in my life who was saying, don't worry, Andrew, it's okay to just be this guy. I was told the opposite all the time. I don't know if the fire inside of me is any bigger than it is inside of every other man. And I think that every man at home watching this, if they don't have the things they want in life, should feel a degree of resentment towards themselves or disappointment, understanding that they have the same desire and drive that I have. They just allowed themselves to be psyoped out of it. They've allowed the matrix or whoever to convince them it's okay to not be the man they could be. And I never allowed anybody to do that to me.
When I was 15, my first job was carrying boxes of fish from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. And I would run to work. So I'd leave the house at 6. I'd run an hour. I'd get there at 7. I'd finish work at 5. And then I'd run from there to the fight gym, get to the fight gym. I'd get there early before training started. I'd eat food next to the gym and then I'd train and then I would get a ride home from my girlfriend at the time. So my entire life was 17 hours a day of just running and working and carrying boxes and fighting. The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain. We're all going to starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor. What do I do? It was, I'm poor. I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Dunno. Where can I get some cash? Dunno. What work can I do? Dunno. I'll just go for a run then. And I'll just go for 3-mile run or go hit the punch bag and get better.
This resonates so deeply, man. This is exactly what I did.
That's exactly. You just have to say, well, I have to do something. I can't just sit still and die. A lot of people are happy to just sit still and die or jerk off and go to sleep and take a nap. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can say a loser. That's fine. I'm glad there are losers because if everyone had Lamborghinis, my Lamborghini wouldn't be fun to show off. I need you to look at it and feel the deep pain in your heart of regret and failure. That's the whole point of it.
I feel like we live in a world where there's not enough action. There's a lot of people who know things, all talk, but they're all talk. There's not enough action. They don't do anything. So we need to get some action moving. So we're going to begin this with some action. And I want you guys to understand something about every single decision you make in life. Every single decision you make in life is a pivoting point upon which you can embark on 2 different journeys. E.g., you decide if you want to jerk off or not.
Okay. This is an important one. This is a pivotal moment that many of you face daily, multiple times daily for some of you.
Get off, J.O. You can go yes or you can go no. But these 2 paths lead in completely different directions. You'll lead a completely different and new life depending on the decision you make. There's yes path and there's no path and they're brand new lives. So the action we're going to try and inspire from you right now here early on is going to embark you down one of 2 paths. You're either going to take action and live the yes life, or you're going to sit around and do nothing like you've done for most of your human existence and live the no life.
And me as a man, when I put myself through hell, when I have had such exacting, such stringent standards for myself, why would I then have less exacting, stringent standards on the people I meet? Why would I put myself through hell to be me and then meet someone who didn't put themselves through hell and then treat them like my equal? No, f you. I suffered when you didn't. So you're not my equal because you decided not to suffer. You have enjoyed comfort when I haven't, and that's fine, but don't expect me to look at you as my equal because you're not. I'll snap your neck.
I think that as humans, especially as men, we only learn the hard way anyway. There's two ways to learn a lesson, the hard way and the hardest way. There's no easy way to learn a lesson. You have to learn the hard way. So God gives us lessons via difficulty. He thinks you need to learn this about yourself or this about other people. So I'm going to give you a difficult time so you can learn your lesson. Because if I told you, if I just said, hey, Andrew, this is how the world works, you go, yeah. But when I show you, when you feel it, my fight coach used to say, you have to feel it to believe it. There's a lot of people who complain about the bad things that happen in their life, not understanding that without the bad things, you'd have no life at all. You need all of the bad things. You need the mental struggle. You need to go through things which you regret. You need to sit there so that if you've never regretted any action you've ever taken, how can you sit and make a intelligent decision for the future? You can't do it.
Yeah,
you need to sit and say, well, I felt the sting of regret for X. I don't want to feel the sting of regret for Y. You need this experience. And that's what life is all about. People think that life is just the good times. And this is the massive misconception. But they say you should have no interest in what people think about you. That makes you insecure. And that is the largest psyop in history, to wake up and say, I'm not going to be successful. I'm not going to be strong. I'm not going to be interesting. I'm not going to go out there and test myself. And I'm not going to put honor on my last name because I would hate for people to think I'm insecure. I'm secure. So it doesn't matter if you think I'm a loser, and it doesn't matter if I am a loser. So I'm just going to sit at home and I'm secure. No, it's not insecurity. It's called duty to your last name and honor. And that's just another one of the many different tentacles inside of the psyop octopus, trying to snatch any motivation left from the masculine spirit.
So Andrew, you're a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
You also have crypto.
Yep.
You also invest in different, investments.
Yeah.
So for someone that's a young person coming up,
yeah,
what is the best piece of advice you can give to them to make it to be successful?
Right. So if someone were to say to me from absolute ground zero, how to get rich?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's a good question. So I would say do two things. The first thing I would say you should do is develop a phone addiction. And you should develop a phone addiction, but you should refuse to consume content and only create content.
Genius.
So it doesn't, I will say right here, right now, I have a genuine phone addiction.
Me too.
9-10 hours a day screen time.
Me too.
I live on my phone. I'm on my phone. That's where the money is. That's what it is.
Facts.
So where else am I going to be? Right? I'm on my phone. You see me. I'm always just on my phone, right? I have a phone addiction, but I'm not consuming a bunch of crap, right? I'm producing on my Twitter account. I'm constantly tweeting. Doesn't matter if it's just tweets. Doesn't matter if it's TikToks. Doesn't matter if it's YouTube videos. Produce.
Yep.
If you spend all those waking hours producing, eventually people will pay attention to you.
Yes.
And we live in an attention economy.
Yep.
This is the economy we now live in. It's no longer about competence like it used to be. It's not even so much, it's about attention and it's about network. It's those two things. It's who you know and it's how many people pay attention to you. So if you develop a phone addiction and you refuse to consume and you only create, you'll start to attract attention sooner or later. Mm-hmm. And when you can do that, there's usually lots of different ways to monetize it. If we were still in the animal kingdom, the lions that you see on TV, they weren't just born big lions. They had to fight other lions. They had to fight to get that antelope. They had to fight other animals, hyenas, jackals. They had to fight to be the boss. We're living in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter. And I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man and that man were to sit around and do all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're lazy. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become.